We're talking about buffets.
Yeah,
I know
buffets.
we are
so off topic, but interesting.
I just read an article. Some like Las Vegas buffets are coming back. You know, food. You have to time your reservation. They give you gloves to.
I don't want a buffet with anybody, you know, that I don't live with yet. No.
Brenda
come on.
is not buffeting with you.
What if the price is really low and there's
It's not
like
priced for her.
and you have to eat at least 5 pieces of fried chicken to even get in?
Oh, well, there you go.
That
You're
sounds
in.
fantastic.
You're a pro. You're a pro.
We are talking about jobs, though, and maybe you want to work at a buffet. We were just naming off a few. So, I mean, it's no secret. We've been talking about this for a while, and you've probably seen signs. Hiring, I mean, like the record highest number of open job postings in the United States right now. And places, a lot of restaurants, you know, really having trouble hiring people. Maggie Vespa really dug into it. So let's watch her story, and then we'll talk about it.
And it was enough money to save my business, and it was amazing.
That's how Elise Schumach felt after learning she was getting help from the Federal Restaurant Relief Fund. The more than $100,000 would have covered losses the Rose City Book Pub suffered during COVID shutdowns. But then she and 3,000 other business owners across the country saw that money disappear.
For anyone who owns a restaurant, the last year and a half has been really nightmarish. And the 2 times that have been truly the worst for me was the day that I had to lay off all of my employees because I found out I was being closed, and then the moment that this was taken away.
It would have allowed us to make investments that we have deferred for almost 2 years into the company.
Dan Yates is the president of the Portland Spirit. The sightseeing and dinner cruise operation was set to get $4 million from the grant, but there wasn't enough money to cover everyone who applied. So the Small Business Administration prioritized businesses run by women, minorities, and veterans.
We're a veteran-owned company, so we were pretty comfortable knowing that we were in the first group to get funded. But I was very concerned that the entire program would be in jeopardy because we've never done federal funding based upon race.
And the program was in jeopardy. Some white business owners sued, saying the fund was discriminatory, and the court ruled in their favor.
People in power set those of us small businesses against each other.
The businesses that were prioritized had funding pulled, and the fund overall ran out of money. Now, restaurant owners have to hope that Congress will go back and vote on a new funding source to cover everyone who applied for help. Until then, these unique Portland businesses will do what they can to keep serving the community.
The Rose City Book Pub is a really unique and special place. It's for everybody. The books are all for sale. We've got 18 beers on tap.
You know, we've been in business 27 years, and we're going to continue to be in business. And we're here to make sure that people's birthdays and anniversaries and family celebrations can happen on the water if they want to.
On another note, Yates, who operates the Portland Spirit, says they actually have another issue that's bigger than funding, and that's staffing. In fact, right now they're allowed to operate at full capacity, but they can only have about a third of the customers they would normally have on board because they don't have enough workers. I'm Maggie Vespa, EGW News.
Okay, so right there at the very end, she talks about kind of the hiring shortage. I was just scrolling through Twitter this morning. I follow a lot of Bend accounts. They had a picture of one of the McDonald's over in Bend. $1,500 hiring bonus.
Really?
For a manager at McDonald's.
Now, I have past experience. I would
Yes,
think.
you do. You used to work at McDonald's.
I would think
Now
I
they're
could
not
get a job.
just, hiring you and then giving you a check for $1,500. They're spacing it. A lot of them are spacing it out like you need to work 3 months here and then we'll give you another portion of it. And then you work 3 months and we'll give you another portion of the hiring bonus.
I get why
you
they're
don't just
doing
quit.
that. Although it seems like dirty pool, but I get why they're doing
Well,
that.
they don't want you to just take the bonus and leave.
Amazon also doing that. You know, there a lot of places are offering bonuses. They can't find people to work.
Yeah.
You know, we've been talking about this for a long time. It started with the restaurant workers who were getting unemployment, and then they had that enhanced unemployment. And it was like it didn't make sense for them to go back and at that time put themselves at risk. I mean, that's
When
when
you're
it
getting an
all
extra
started.
$600 a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And wasn't it true that in some cases people really were, in fact, making more money off the government checks than they were from their old
Absolutely.
jobs?
Early on, when it was that
Yeah.
600.
Right.
Doesn't
And then
seem-
they lowered it.
Yeah. That is ending soon. And you're going to have to start, because right now the requirement is, normally when you apply for unemployment, you have to be showing that you're sending in applications, and you have to say, I applied to these many jobs this week, to show that you're trying.
Right.
That they took that requirement away during the pandemic. That is now coming back very soon, and maybe at the end of the month, where you have to start actually applying for jobs to get off unemployment. That boost will be going away. It is, and a lot of people are saying on here, start getting a job, all these people on unemployment. Jennifer Taft, yes, it is more complicated than that. We've talked about this, parents, kids not knowing, what their school status is going to be in the fall.
Yeah.
Kids are not vaccinated still, so those, parents worried about it are like, well, I lost my job or I quit my job last year. Let me just wait till we get to the fall, make sure the kids are okay. Maybe I'll get back to the workforce.
Yeah, people are weighing
Or
in on
people
the
changing
stream.
industries. They're out of the restaurant game because it was too volatile in the last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Michelle Lorraine, good morning to you. She says, I started my business in the middle of the pandemic in Corvallis, and I was doing well even with restrictions. She's a dog groomer, and she says it's easier to socially distance. I was working alone and killing myself during 12-hour days, but it was well worth it.
Yeah. I've heard you tell that story before about the dog grooming. That's awesome.
Veronica Gaston. I love Veronica because guess what? We have something in common.
What?
She
Fried
says,
chicken?
if I could, I'd go back to work. My old boss at McDonald's, that's what we have in common, offered me my management position back, but apparently Veronica's not able to do that. She says, and I wonder, like the Burgervilles up in Clark County have not opened their dining rooms yet at all. I mean, you can't go in to use the restroom, you can't go in to order. I mean, they're totally closed. The only thing accessible is the drive-thru. And I wonder if that's because of hiring issues, staffing issues. I
Possibly.
don't know, but I wonder if that's the
Yeah,
reason.
cleaning the bathrooms and the dining area and all that stuff, and just having more cashiers.
You have to have more, right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it has anything to do with that or not.
I have noticed a number of those kind of restaurants, coffee shops, they still have all their inside tables, turned up.
Yep.
The chairs aren't out.
Yeah.
So I don't
lot
know
of-
that it's necessarily a staffing issue. It could be, but I feel like they're slow rolling, like letting everybody back inside.
Yeah, we went over to the
Yeah.
coast for 4th of July, and at the kind of like campground area that we stay at, they have a pool indoors. And the restrictions were lifted. You could have, people at the pool, but it's still closed. And I said, was there any chance, 'cause my daughter loves to go swimming, is there any chance you guys are going to open the pool? She's like, yeah, well, let me know if you have anyone that wants to work here, because they have to have someone kind of, watching the pool area. And she's like, we cannot find there's no one applying
I
for
know
these jobs.
the athletic club I belong to up in Vancouver, they just now reopened their restaurant area. And it took them this long simply because they couldn't find somebody to accept the job. So it is a hardship on businesses.
Destiny, you have a lot of names, girl. Destiny Anne Marie Tolbert says some of my favorite restaurants are permanently closed. One of them closed just barely 2 months ago. They tried to make it through, almost succeeded, but just couldn't quite do it. Stanford Walker, good morning to you. He points out low wages. He says micromanagement, poor hours. That's what I hear over and over about why people can't actually find
But it seems
workers.
like wages are up. I mean, there's Taco Bell, at least there was a sign up in Clark County, they're paying $15 an hour. I mean, I don't know. I kind of differ with Stanford on that. He's brought that up before, but I mean, reality is you're not going to make $50 an hour working at Taco Bell. As much as it would be wonderful, you're just not going to.
Right.
That's
right.
reality.
Yeah, especially around here, over in Clark County, but making $15 an hour and living in Portland, you can't really do that well.
No, you can't. But then it's almost like, what's the headline there?
Hopefully
Low
a
wages
stepping
or
stone
rent's
job.
way too high?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Or your rent's way
absolutely.
too high. But-
Renee Robertson, hey girl, she lives over in Panama. She says, thankfully
lives
my
over in
husband's
Panama.
job
Yeah.
has been steady through the pandemic. Only thing that has changed is he's still working from home.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
A lot of people are starting to go back to the office, though. We're having people come in here. My partner, he's going to be going back to the office on July 26th. And that's a big change. He hasn't, been there since, I want to say March, April of last year.
Does he have the option some days of staying at home, or are they going back?
As far as I know, they're going back.
They're going back.
back. Jennifer Taft touches on something I think Nina touched on. Before we start the lazy unemployment label, There are many issues with going back. Some people don't have childcare issues, which Nina mentioned.
Yep.
Some, even with vaccines, have at-risk jobs that they can't return to. Trying to find a job that is stable, pays enough to live off of, very true. But on the flip side, when they provide financial aid to businesses, when they do equity aid, it is not equitable. I'm sorry, assistance based on race and gender feels very non-equitable and causes more of an anger to people who are struggling equally. She ties that into the courts overturning the aid that was based on, was it based on gender and race? Was it women and?
For the businesses, yeah.
That's
It was gender and
women.
race, right?
Minorities.
It was, women-owned, minority-owned businesses,
That's
and white owners actually filed a lawsuit that was held up and approved by a judge and said, yes, it was
When
discriminatory.
you say it out loud, I don't know how the courts could have not ruled that was discriminatory.
Yeah. It should be based on need and
Yeah.
So Jeremy Wing, good morning to everyone watching us on YouTube. I've got you guys pulled up here. He says, jobs need to offer full health care or maybe job-related educational opportunities. Wages don't earn you a living, and cost of living is too high here in Portland.
Michael Garrison on the stream says still going to have issues as long as they, I guess being the state, keep being paid. Oh no, as long as they, the people, keep being paid money. And he's got like multiple dollar signs. If you have kids, you're still getting money for each child that you have. So he's taking issue with subsidies, I guess, child tax credits, that type of thing in general.
Yeah. Willie Huey, good morning, Willie, says it seems like people discovered they were working jobs that they didn't need to work. I know some friends with spouses quit. They were laid off during the pandemic, and then they learned they could do just fine with one income and no reason to go back to the grind. And I suspect that is true for
some people.
some people as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh, Destiny, did we read this already? Because I was looking at some other stuff, but she says, wow. I have a friend with a bachelor's degree who gets interviews almost daily and equally receives, we're sorry, but we found another candidate, rejection letters for those jobs.
Yeah, I think it just depends on what kind of tier of job you're looking for, you know. I mean, it seems that we're really seeing a lot of these struggles in the, you know, kind of restaurant industry, hospitality, kind of that type of thing. And a lot of women work in that. And if you do have kids, it is summertime. There is no school that you could have your child at maybe while you work. So maybe a lot of people we might see, you know, a big hiring boom of people actually taking jobs in the fall when school returns. More daycares, a lot of child cares, even right here in Portland, closed down in the pandemic.
Talk about the cost of childcare.
Oh.
I mean, what is that up to now?
I mean, we're only at preschool level, but our school is about $1,600 a month, and that was, we looked at a bunch of different ones, just neighborhood ones. Yeah, I mean, about like $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
Yeah, I mean,
a
that's
month.
a second rent. Or a
Oh,
second
for sure. It's a
cheap
mortgage. It's a
payment.
full mortgage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And so if you know, in hiring a babysitter, you can, you know, certainly get a little cheaper than that. But even if you go to care.com, a lot of even, you know, gals in their 20s who are students or something and they're nannying or babysitting, I mean, they want, you know, between like $18 to $23 an hour for one child. I was talking to a friend that works here. She has twins, and it's, you know, like $25 an hour to hire a babysitter or a nanny.
Yeah.
And so it's expensive.
Joan Rutherford on the stream says, I found out that working for myself is way better. Joan, what do you do? How do you work for yourself? You're your own boss. That does sound nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Renee Robertson Rod says, you sound like you need a hot cup of tea.
Well, I know. You know, I'm sure you can all relate. So I was out sick for basically 2 days or a day and a half and felt horrible. And now I actually feel fine. I mean, you know, it takes a couple days to get everything out of your body.
Yeah.
So that's where I am. Thank you for your concern.
Here's interesting. Shireen Miller Simmons, good morning, and thank you for weighing in. She owns a child care facility. She had been looking for staff before the pandemic. She was getting like 20 applications coming in, and now it's 0. People are not looking for work right now. She knows several business owners who are not getting any applications, even after raising their wages to bring in people.
Here's the good news.
Said she can't raise her rates to, I can't raise my rates to hugely raise my pay for employees. She runs Little Friends Day School on Division Street. If you're looking for a job.
Here's a good news story. Jeremy Hurley says, good morning. My son just graduated high school and is looking for his first job. This is probably true. There is no better time to enter the workforce than right now. So much easier than 20 years ago, Jeremy says. There's probably a lot of truth in that.
We have a friend whose son is 15. I mean, you have to get your parents' permission or is 15 the worker's permit
I don't know
year?
what labor laws
I think it
are
is 15.
in our state, yeah.
Anyway, he got his first ever job working at a restaurant. He's like a busser and washes the dishes and whatever, but he's like stoked to be getting a paycheck. He got a $900 bonus. They're breaking it into $300. Every 3 months he gets $300. He's putting it in his savings. But I mean, he is like elated. As a 15-year-old kid, yeah, he's like, I'm going to buy a bike and do all this, and he's getting work experience. And the restaurant's like, whatever hours you want, we'll get them to you.
Yeah.
You know,
But yeah, for a teenager or something, it's a great
on the flip
time.
side,
Good money.
that story about our kids just makes me think that when my oldest was a teenager, it was like around the last crash of 2008.
Oh, right,
like when
uh-huh.
everything
The
went-
housing crisis.
And he was applying for work, and that was so eye-opening for him because he would go into these just like direct marketing stuff, and there were like adults who had lost
Tons of
jobs, and like
applicants.
he was this little tiny thing, and they were like veteran people, and he was like, wow.
Yeah.
It was a world shifting.
Yeah, no kidding. What just happened to it? Did your microphone die? Yes.
It might have been.
It's like, I feel, oh, okay.
Wait. Do we need a new battery? Or is it, because it was off.
I hear you now.
It fell, and that might have like turned it off. Okay, good. Sorry about that.
Boy, Renee Robertson, did you guys read this one already? Our college student daughter recently got a nanny job. $30 an hour. I know you were talking about that.
Is that
But
here
she
or
says-
in Panama?
That I do not know. She says there are 3 kids involved. So
Okay.
$10 an hour
3
per
kids,
child.
yes. That's $30 an hour.
$300 an hour.
3 kids. No kidding.
They
That's
are
crazy.
nonstop.
Yeah, but $30 an hour is pretty good money, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is a lot of work though.
I mean, my first job made $1.30 an hour. $30 an hour sounds great.
When you have little kids, you need to come to work to get a break.
I love this. So Jennifer Taft and Shireen are connecting because Jennifer worked in childcare as well. And she said she had some coworkers who left, and she's going to have them send applications to Shireen.
There you
Send
go.
them me a resume. Yes, I
That's
hope.
fantastic.
That's awesome. if we can-
Lauren James says, I think the job market in Portland will be chaotic once unemployment stops and people start to apply for jobs. I give it 2 months. That's Lauren.
Yeah, we just had to, the girl who watches, she comes over in the mornings and gets my daughter up for school and just drives her to school. It's like a 2-hour gig in the morning. And we had a college student doing it. She's a nursing student, but she's going back to Medford to, go back with her parents. So we had to kind of put out the word for a new morning nanny. And it was interesting, the people that we met with 3 people, and we ended up hiring this woman. She's 42. She's from Australia. Her husband is from Portland. And she's a mom. Her little son is like 2, and her husband works from home, and she lives near us. And so she's like, this is some extra kind of family money for
You
us,
bet.
like to just zip over to your house, take care of her, read her some books, take her to school, and then I'm home to take care of my son.
That's
She's like, it fits in
perfect.
with our schedule. But we had other, college students who were like doing some school online and then some classes in person, and they're like, yeah, this morning job will fit in perfect. So
Interesting.
there are people applying, for jobs. It just kind of, I think it's a shift in priorities, the pandemic.
Yes. Speaking
you want
of
more money or more job security
Sure.
or better health benefits. And you're like,
Flexibility.
I've been doing this thing for so long, I want to change.
Rob Duvall says, I've never stopped working. Actually, business has been about triple what it used to be before coronavirus. As I visited many homes over the last year plus, I see people changing their lives for the better. Some folks have taken the last year to reevaluate and make moves they normally wouldn't under regular circumstances. Now that things have gradually started back up, he also points out traffic is getting worse. Yes, that is so true.
Laura
but people
Carlson,
have taken this time to reevaluate.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Laura Carlson, I heard this before. McMiniman's $1,000 bonus, she says, for cooks. Yeah.
I just drove past that sign downtown on Burnside. It's right above the door on the annex. Yeah, $1,000 hiring bonus. Who was just writing that? Jennifer says you have to start applying for jobs in August because most people will lose their unemployment in September. The best teachers I ever hired were filling a life gap. I had an older couple who drove buses. They loved the split day. Yeah, you never know.
Absolutely. And I would think, especially with a mom who's been through it, I mean, that is...
Like she that's
perfect.
She knows what she's doing. She's not going to be scrolling her phone the whole time and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm excited. Willie Huey, good morning, Willie. He says it seems there's a deficit between increased wages and decreased business. I don't see how a downtown cafe can raise pay by 20% when foot traffic is still down so low. People don't want to linger downtown too much. You go there when you need, not because you want to. Some
Have
people
we
go.
done the story on, because I've wondered this, and if we have done it, I missed it, but your average downtown business, are they still saying, do we know that business is way down, or is it coming back?
No, I would have, just being downtown, we were just down there
I would assume it's
yesterday.
down, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Michelle Lorraine says, I'm patiently waiting for Portland to go back to its beautiful old self. People going back to work will help speed that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, our producer just reminded me there's some food trucks downtown that are closing or for good or moving to a different area because they've been broken into so many times.
That's right.
Oh, boy.
And then Brenda and I went downtown for a little promo shoot yesterday. Banana Republic downtown, gone, empty.
Is that right? The big corner store there?
That prime location next to
Yeah.
Nordstrom, empty.
Wow, that store's been there
crazy.
since
Yeah.
I've been in town, 27
Yeah,
years.
so there's a lot of anchor the Microsoft store, that big glass one on the corner. Not
That's
nearly
a
as big
block
as Apple.
down from the Apple
Gone.
store? That's gone.
Yeah. There's a lot of, there's businesses that have upped and left. So it'll be interesting. But, downtown doesn't tell the whole
total story.
Cafe
no.
Bijou just closed yesterday. One of the reasons was not
love
enough
the-
daily foot traffic. Where's that?
Bijou. It's down by Embassy Suites. We used to go down there all the time. They had great breakfasts.
Well, there you go.
Oh my gosh, girl,
All
we
right,
gotta
you guys,
run.
thank you for weighing in. We really appreciate it. Have a good Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.